Facebook Live here at News 5 WKRG. Today is a weather alert day, and if you've been with us all morning, you may already know what that means. But it's something we do at News 5 to let you know it's a day you need to be aware of the weather. In this case, severe thunderstorms are possible. We have no watches and no warnings at this hour. This is 9:53 in the morning, but the potential is out there for severe weather later today, and I'm going to walk you through all that along with meteorologist Thomas Gieboy, who is here with me today. Also, trying something new with the iPad attached to the hand, so I can find out what you are thinking about this and maybe answer some questions for you as well. So let's jump in here and show you first off what's happening right now, which is not much. In most places, you're seeing something like this, a mix of sun and clouds, a little blue sky peeking through there, which is actually not as good a thing as you might think. We'll talk more about what that means in a minute, but just know you got a little blue sky here over the downtown skyline, and then we have a little sun peeking through as well over Midtown Mobile, as seen from the Alpha Skycam at our tower on Broadcast Drive. But later today, those clouds will blossom up, and we have the potential of strong and even severe thunderstorms. It's 75 degrees right now at News 5. Dew points are high. These dew points around 70 are summertime dew points, and that's one reason that we're concerned about the potential of severe weather in our neighborhood. You have a very warm, moist atmosphere that's perfect fuel for showers and thunderstorms. So let's check out what's going on or has been going on over the past 24 hours. Now, let me tell you that Tuesday we had a dozen reports of tornadoes over Texas. And then Tuesday night, it was right along the Texas-Louisiana border and up into Oklahoma that they saw really horrible weather, different things, all kinds of stuff, with flooding rains, trees down, wind damage, big giant hail, like tennis ball sized hail in some places. Are we looking for that? No, we're not really looking for that, but all I'm telling you is that these storms have a history of producing severe weather, and all kinds of it. This is just the past 24 hours with wind damage, flooding, more high winds, and even a tornado warning over Houston last night. So a lot going on. Now, I know a lot of folks are probably just joining us here on Facebook Live, so we'll get into the radar now and show you what's going on. This is some really heavy weather that has developed over Louisiana last night. They had anywhere from 2 to 10 inches of rain out of these bright red thunderstorms, and that produced flooding. There were flood warnings up overnight. There were also areas of wind damage, maybe tornado damage as well in Louisiana. So this system is weakening as it moves into our neighborhood. You can actually see that over the past hour or so. You see these bright kind of purpley colors going away, leaving us with reds and yellows. But still, a few folks could see severe weather in our neighborhood later today. So far, it's been pretty quiet. We've got just a few little dribbles of rain around Chance. I don't get to talk about Chance often enough, but lovely little place up there in, well, that right there at the border of Monroe and Connecticut County, I should say Clark and Monroe counties. And we got a little bitty shower here along Highway 84, but really not a whole lot happening in our neighborhood, little dribbles of rain. Citronelle, you might have heard a rumble of thunder earlier this morning, but most of us are just seeing moderate rainfall, maybe heavy at times. The bigger weather is to our west, and we're starting to see some stronger thunderstorms find their way into Harrison County, Mississippi, which is just outside of our viewing area, but a lot of folks are familiar with the Gulfport, Lyman, Saussure areas. They're getting some rain and probably some lightning and thunder now. All right, let's bring on Thomas Gieboy. And Thomas,
well, good morning, John.
Anybody joining us yet?
Well, we got quite a few people joining us. We have about 500 people joining us right now, actually, so quite a bit of folks. And before we get started answering these questions, a lot of you are commenting saying, what about my particular city at this particular time? Well, we're just going to go over kind of the broad aspects because we have a very large viewing area, so we will kind of break down the timing based upon what section of the viewing area that you do live in. So we will talk about that, but a lot of folks are asking, what about the timing? How bad are things going to be? Some folks even commenting from Slidell, Louisiana, saying it's like a hurricane right now. And there are some stronger thunderstorms that are moving through Slidell and moving across Lake Pontchartrain right now at the moment as well. So we have people tuning in from central Mississippi, people tuning in from as far east as Enterprise, Alabama. That's not our viewing area. But go ahead and answer some of these questions. And some people are asking, what is basically the threat level that we're having to worry about? And well, as those storms continue to move off to the east, and go ahead and flip the radar back, but as things begin to move off to the east, what we're mainly worried about is going to be damaging straight line winds. The threat for tornadoes, very low, and there is also a slight threat for a little bit of hail, maybe some of it being large, but this is starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. As you can see, there were a few showers in the northern half of our area, but as we do play this forward in time, we will start to see that line progressively move to the east. So probably around lunchtime into the early portion of this afternoon, that's when we'll start to see it move maybe into Mobile County. Our Mississippi counties, you're probably looking at the latter half of the morning, heading into around lunchtime. This line will continue to progress east. So this is mainly going to be a late morning for those of you in Mississippi, early afternoon for those of you in Mobile and the Baldwin County, stretching up through Clark County and Washington County, and then maybe towards the early to middle portion of the afternoon as we progress a little bit further to the east. So there you go, moving into 6 o'clock tonight, potentially moving into the Panhandle of Florida, John.
Yeah, and a little better organized by then. When it moves into our neighborhood, it's going to break up a little bit, and we'll have just isolated strong thunderstorms. It becomes more of a line late in the day, and then starts to work its way through the Florida Panhandle, parts of Monroe and Conecuh counties, and Escambia County in Alabama as well. Pam Gregson said she was in Baytown, Texas a night ago. I think it was not last night, but the previous night, when this storm system came through, and said it was horrible with tons of rain, lightning, wind, a whole lot of other things. Let's see here. I knew you'd be asking about Fruitdale. How bad is it going to be? How bad is it going to be? Let me clarify something right off the bat. All thunderstorms have thunder, lightning, gusty winds, and brief heavy rain. So a lot of people are going to see that. And if that lightning is right over your house, it's very scary. And if the gusty winds are gusting 30, 40 miles per hour, that's noisy. But severe weather has a very specific criteria that has to be met. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. You got a severe weather risk. And by severe weather, I'm talking about a few of those thunderstorms that will pop up in different places. Can I tell you exactly if it's going to be in Fruitdale? No. I wish I could. The science just isn't to that point yet. But a few folks are likely to see severe weather. Now, severe weather includes damaging straight line winds, 57 miles per hour or greater, 1-inch hail or greater, and the possibility of tornadoes. So some of these storms will have each of those possibilities, but only a few of the storms that happen today will have that. Where those particular storms are going to pop up, we just don't know right now. Another thing to watch for today is if these storms go slowly enough, then you have the potential of some flooding issues as well. More likely it's going to be nuisance flooding, but in Louisiana, as I said, you had storms that stayed in one place for a long time, dropped 9, 10 inches of rain. So here's the situation. We are under what's called a slight risk for severe weather. To our east, marginal. That's where part of our viewing area was yesterday, but that has all been shifted, and we are right in the middle of this slight risk of severe weather. To our north, worse weather is expected, and they've bumped up the severe weather risk to enhanced at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. So what does all that mean? Well, again, all of these things have specific meanings and a specific level of risk, a specific percentage of tornadoes and damaging winds and hail. And the slight risk is down here near the bottom of the totem pole, but still it means that severe weather is possible. What do? Well, you just stay aware. If it were a high risk, I would be telling you, make a plan, find a spot, do all kinds of things. But right now, just stay on top of the weather and realize what's happening around you. News 5's free weather app, I always tell you, is a great thing to use. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Now, Thomas will walk you through that. But just know that that's a possibility. And of course, check in here and also on News 5 today at noon. I'll be back on. And of course, Alan Seals, Chief Meteorologist, will be in this evening. A lot going on there. So let's see what else is happening. News 5's free weather app. Well, I was going to have Thomas come in, but all of a sudden he's being pulled aside and asked questions on the side. Let me see here. Let's just take a look here.
We'll go ahead and answer some of these questions.
Okay. If you would, before you answer the question, would you just kindly hit the News 5 weather app just for a moment?
Okay.
Just tell them what it's all about and what it does.
Well, the News 5 free weather app, this is a great thing to have because even in cases of not seeing severe weather and just general thunderstorms, I mainly use this whenever I'm out on the golf course because it does have a radar detection or a lightning detection system, excuse me. So if lightning strikes within 10, maybe 5 miles of you, it'll let you know. Also, you can track storms on the radar itself. So it's very customizable to what you need. It's something that is very good to have, especially in a pinch. So as always, we encourage you download that. Also, you can go to our website, WKRG.com, during this Facebook Live if you have more questions that we haven't answered. But we will be going back through this feed afterwards and trying to answer any questions that we didn't get to into this feed. And that brings up one of those questions. I believe Diana asked, how much rain can we expect? That's a very good question, but that's a question that's also up for debate because it depends on how fast these storms are moving. These storms were 2 days ago in the central half of Texas, and they're now just finally moving towards Slidell and New Orleans. So the slower they go, the more rain you can expect. I would say just about everyone is going to pick up at least some rain today. If you pick up a light thunderstorm, probably pick upwards of half an inch maybe. And if a thunderstorm stays over you a little bit longer, then you could probably expect to see upwards of an inch. So here's a look at that rainfall history. The blue just kind of showing maybe around 1/4 of an inch to maybe 1/10 of an inch, but you go a little bit further to the west and you can see those oranges and those reds, and you can even move towards Lafayette, Louisiana, and you can see 8.4 inches. That's a lot of rain. And those reds and orange indicating almost 5 inches of rain. And then, like we just talked about, those blue colors indicating maybe a tenth of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. So these thunderstorms, they continued to move off to the east, already dropped about an inch and 3/10 just northwest of Slidell, Louisiana, but they still have thunderstorms over them. So as you can see, kind of broken up. There's not a continual just amount of rain that these thunderstorms have dropped. So as they continue to work slowly to the east, and if they do work slowly, you can expect to pick up more rain. So that's kind of just the overall basis on what we're thinking. But if you do see a thunderstorm that sits over you for a little while, you can very easily see over an inch. And you can see those thunderstorms right now. All those little white dots that you see on your screen, those are indicating lightning strikes from our graphic system. So you can see basically moving over I-59 and I-10. For a lot of traffic usually if you're familiar with driving to New Orleans. This will continue to move east. John, if we could put a time lapse on this, just show how slow that they've been actually moving. I think that within the last 2 hours, they really haven't moved very far. So there you go. 8:05 this morning, they were just west of Lake Pontchartrain, and now they're finally starting to get over Lake Pontchartrain. So moving relatively slowly, could be dropping a lot of rain, but if you look in behind that, there is a lot of shower activity and thunderstorm activity to the south of this main line, but you're really not seeing that much to the north, but they are moving in a general south to north motion within the line as it continues to move east. So that's why we're saying just about everyone is going to pick up some rain. John, do you have any more questions that you've been going through?
In fact, I do, and I'm trying to find just the one here so I can say who sent it in. I believe it was Chelsea. Let me just look down here and see. But I know what the question is. I think it was Chelsea. Anyway, she asked, what about mobile homes? And I'm glad you asked about mobile homes. This is something near and dear to my heart. And right now, fine. Mobile home, fine. And in fact, 364 days a year, mobile home is a great place to be. A really solid, pleasant structure to live in. But there are times, hurricanes being one, and tornadoes being the other, where you need to get out of those. You need to leave them and move to a site-built structure, and that's just the facts. That's just even if it is bolted down solid, you can't bolt it down solidly enough. An EF0 or an EF1 tornado will destroy a mobile home if it hits it directly. I'm just telling you the facts. So We're not looking for a lot of tornadoes, EF0 or 1 or otherwise today. The tornado threat is actually pretty low for us. But if there is a tornado warning, you need to have a plan. And that's what, like I was telling you earlier, that's kind of like what the Weather Alert Day is about. It's an idea that the weather might get bad. Let me think of a plan of what I'm going to do if some warnings are issued for me. So what do? You think, okay, if a tornado warning is issued for my neighborhood and I live in a mobile home, manufactured housing, then I am going to find this place and I'm going to go there right away. You usually have 10 to 15 minutes advance lead time. That's the typical. So you want to go ahead and make that move. And so it's early in the day. Maybe you call up your mom or your sis or your pal or whatever, and you say, look, if things get scary, I'm going to grab the kids and I'm going to move over to your place for, for half an hour. And that's what I would do. So I'm just saying. The thing is, if you're in a mobile home and there is a tornado warning for you, you need to move to a site-built structure. So thank you for the opportunity for me to share that with you. I've done a lot of research on this, and so like I say, it's something that I know we have a lot of mobile homes in this part of the world. Maybe 10 to 15% of the housing in this part of the world is manufactured housing. But I will tell you this, manufactured housing is also where you encounter fully half of tornado deaths. So even though it's a smaller percentage of the actual amount of housing, then it's a very, very dangerous place to be in a tornado. So again, I don't want you to get worked up because our tornado risk is fairly low, but do be thinking in the back of your mind, what am I going to do on a day like today?
Yeah, and Addie is from Mandeville. She just brought up this. Addie Akanda, I hope I said your name right. Kind of hard just to say on Facebook, but the comments basically saying is she's in Mandeville. The strong storm just moved over a little while ago. Pretty big storm, loud, lots of thunder, and scared the gajebers out of me. So even if something isn't severe, like John said, in a thunderstorm, you're still going to have lightning, you're still going to have gusty winds, and you're still going to see a lot of rain. The lightning in itself makes these things very dangerous, but if some of these do become severe and have winds upwards of 57 miles per hour and do produce large hail, then they're going to be just that little extra dangerous. Right now, moving right along the I-10 and I-59 corridor. A lot of folks are asking about the timing of this, so I think that we'll go ahead and talk about that. But here's kind of the zoomed out picture, but let's go ahead and start this once again at 10 o'clock. So for those of you just tuning in, we'll go over the timing once again. So right now, we basically have had quite a few little thunderstorms in the northern half of our area, but as we continue to move forward, we'll continue to watch the chance for shower and thunderstorms to move just a little further to the east. So this is painting out 1:30, so give or take, the model isn't going to exactly pinpoint what time these are going to occur, and the model isn't going to exactly pinpoint where these thunderstorms are. What this is giving us is a general idea of what we're thinking. So expect in our Mississippi counties the latter half of the morning into probably right around lunchtime. Then as we move into Washington County, anywhere from Baldwin County, moving up to Clark County in the early afternoon to just after lunchtime. And then if you move towards the Panhandle and towards the eastern half of our area, you can be expecting those thunderstorms possible later this afternoon into this evening. So we are currently under a slight risk for severe weather. We moved a little bit fast on the graphics there, but slight risk for severe weather. If a lot of you can remember, if you watched this past weekend, we were under a slight risk for a portion of our area. We didn't see severe weather, but it does mean that severe weather is indeed possible. And make sure that you download the WKRG News 5.
Well, I blew past that too. So there's the weather app. Let me go back to this severe weather outlook again. You mentioned slight risk. It simply means severe weather is possible. And for some of you, you've already seen this. I know a lot of people have just joined us recently. All this means is be aware of the weather today, and that's what we want you to do. I go back also to these forecast computer models. And let me touch on something that Thomas mentioned just a moment ago. A lot of people, and I'm not picking on any of our competitors, but people all over the country will often call this a pinpoint forecast for you. And And I find that nomenclature to be misleading, you know, because we don't, for example, this was 10 o'clock this morning. It was not a horrible storm over Jackson in Clark County at that time, because the models don't have that kind of accuracy yet. They have to take the billions of variables in the atmosphere and narrow them down to a few and then use some generalizations for the rest. So maybe one day when computing power is 1,000 or 1,000,000 times stronger than it is right now, then we will have pinpoint forecasts with computer models. But right now we've got half a dozen computer models that I've looked at today and Thomas has looked at today, and each of them is slightly different. So you take the biases that certain ones have for certain kinds of weather and you look at that and you think, that one tends to do this on a day like today. And then you kind of look at the consensus of what they are saying, and then you draw from that. So what we're getting from this is that this line will likely break up a bit, move into our neighborhood, bring us some scattered showers and strong thunderstorms through the early part of the afternoon, and then later in the afternoon we end up with a more organized line of strong thunderstorms. Will it be exactly stretching from Evergreen down through Atmore to Gulf Shores? No, it will not. I mean, the chances are pretty good that it won't. But it'll be close to that, and it gives you an idea of what's happening with our weather. But one thing that you do notice in these computer model forecasts is lots of reds and oranges and purples, and that does indicate the potential for strong thunderstorms in our neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone is probably going to see rain at some point today. Everyone is going to probably hear at least a little bit of thunder today, and there's going to be the chance for some severe weather. And that's why it's a weather alert day. We can't exactly pinpoint where the severe weather is going to be. We have a very large viewing area, and the chances of someone seeing a severe thunderstorm is non-existent.
Right.
So
now, I got to say, though, the chances of seeing a thunderstorm is pretty good.
Exactly.
Pretty good.
The chance of seeing a thunderstorm, instead of just rain chances being upwards of past 50%, probably around 80 to 90, the chance of you getting a thunderstorm is a lot more likely than typically we see.
Right, and if you get a thunderstorm and it's right over your house, then it's scary, even if it's just your garden variety thunderstorm. So just know that that is a possibility as well. Some folks are going to have some noisy thunderstorms. On the bright side is that this line has been weakening as it moves into our neighborhood. Now, I mentioned a long time ago, if you were with us then, we were talking about the sky condition and the sunlight beaming through the partly cloudy skies. Not a good thing for us. And the reason is this: when you have a lot of sunlight, it comes down, it strikes the earth, and it warms the earth. And so you end up with a lot of warm air near the surface of the earth. And that warm air, as you know from hot air balloons, wants to rise. And so what it does is when you hear about meteorologists mentioning instability in the atmosphere, that's what we're talking about. And having a good deal of sunlight with very high humidity and high dew points tends to increase the instability, because now you've got moist air, which by itself is already lighter than dry air, and then you've got the hot air, which is lighter than cool air, and so it wants to rise and turn into these big thunderstorms. You may have been with us during some severe weather events where we look at the tops of the clouds and see how tall they are. Those taller storms tend to be stronger. That's because there's a lot of lift going up into those storms, and that's one of the things that instability does, having that warm, moist air at the surface. I bet a lot of you, if you heard what I just said, the only thing that stuck in your mind was, what? Moist air is lighter than dry air? Because moist air feels so heavy. But what happens is that water molecules, which are hydrogen and oxygen, displace nitrogen molecules, which are heavier. So you end up with lighter weight air. Who knew? That's the kind of stuff you just love about weather, isn't it? All right, what are we looking at here? Oh, you're looking at storm heights, Thomas. Go ahead.
Well, and John was just talking about storm heights, and then the taller that the storms are, the more indication that they have the potential. And I'm going to always err on the side of caution. I'm going to say the potential for stronger thunderstorms is there. When we typically see thunderstorms around 30,000 feet, so that's nothing that we're not accustomed to. So as they continue to move east, there is the chance that they grow a little bit higher, but I also wanted to build on what John just talked about and having that moist air and that ability to potentially fuel more in terms of the thunderstorms. We have a dew point temperature that's sitting into the lower 70s. This past weekend, we saw those dew points into the 60s. That means there wasn't as much fuel. When you see dew points in the 70s, that means the air is very moist. It also means that it's very warm, and then that just adds to the extra fuel that can go into a thunderstorm. So kind of an analogy to kind of think about is you think back to a car. You have 87 octane, 89, and 91, 93 here in our part of the world. When you have just dew point temperatures that are into the 60s, you can think of that as kind of mid-grade or just regular, but when you see dew points in the 70s, you can think of that as premium gasoline. Now, that's not to say that it's actually going to run better, but it does add a little bit more fuel and maybe could add that little extra bit of a spark. So, 70-degree dew points, that's something that's normally typical in the summertime, but when you have conditions like we have this spring, these aren't very uncommon, and the fact is the Gulf of Mexico is also on the warm side as well. So that's just adding into more fuel. You can see a lot of lightning strikes now moving in to Hancock County in Mississippi. You can basically just see kind of a glob of white in Hancock County near Bay St. Louis. And these will continue to slide over to the east, and before too long we'll be moving into our area.
All right, Thomas, let's just walk through this one more time, and then we are going to wrap up our Facebook Live adventure here and turn you back over to April the giraffe or something like that. So severe weather is possible today. Where is it going to be? We don't know exactly, but this is about the right coverage of rain today. We had it at 9 o'clock this morning. Let me go ahead and move forward. Don't know why we have 9 o'clock there. There's 2 p.m. and a broken line of showers and thunderstorms will be moving through our neighborhood. And then we advance to 6 p.m. and you're looking at the potential for strong thunderstorms that are lined up and moving through the Florida Panhandle. Not exactly in this spot, but pretty close to around this part of the world. By 10 o'clock tonight, it's all over but the shouting. There may be a few little dribbles of rain that follow in behind during the overnight hours, but most of the big weather will be behind us. What do? You stay on top of the weather. There's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms today, meaning those storms that can have damaging winds, hail, or an isolated tornado. And in this case, as Thomas pointed out, damaging winds, most likely the event. So, your forecast for the remainder of today, possibility of a few showers during the mid-morning hours, 60% chance by 2 p.m., 70% at 5 p.m. Thomas, if we could go back to the radar, we'll wrap this up. And we'll leave it on a view of this radar for just a minute or two, as folks that are just joining in can gather in what's moving our direction. But we appreciate you joining us today on Facebook Live. We hope we've answered your questions. If we have missed one or two, we'll go back and take a look at them and reply to them on Facebook, on WKRG, our Facebook page there.
Well, and don't forget, you can also always check out your forecast on WKRG.com. It is always there. And in days like today, it is updated rather frequently. So we try to do this Facebook Live. We try to update the website as many times as possible. And of course, we are going to update you as many times on air. So John will be on at noon, and then you'll see Chief Meteorologist Alan Seals at 5, 6, 6:30, and 10 o'clock on WKRG News 5. So once again, want to thank all of you that have been watching. We will be going back through these comments. So if you didn't get to have one of your questions answered, we will be going back through. But if you're just tuning in, this will be available to watch again, so make sure that you go back through and watch before you ask any questions. But once again, thank you for tuning in on Facebook Live. I'm meteorologist Thomas Gieboy along with meteorologist John Nodar. Have a great morning. Stay safe, everyone, and we'll talk to you in just a little bit.